Last game we're going to talk about, World Without End. If you're familiar with Ken Follett, he writes some books, some really big books that I'm not going to read. I'm sorry, Ken, but I actually don't read books. I read technical manuals and rule books.
Yeah.
So anyway, World Without End is a book series. It's the sequel to Pillars of the Earth.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Pillars of the Earth was a amazing board game that I have yet to play. I'm just going to say it's amazing and be bandwagony. But I have played the sequel, which is World Without End.
Yes.
And in this game, basically, stuff's happening. There's a city. I forgot the name of the city, actually. Eric's reading the book.
I was going to say, Eric would know.
Yeah, our friend Eric's playing with this, and he has not read the second book. He's getting ready to start reading the book, and I was like, I mean, this can't have that much spoiler alert, right?
Flavor text had a little. So.
Flavor text.
Yeah.
Massive events that happen where the whole city becomes plagued.
Oh, there's a plague.
Well, Eric, who's this guy?
Yeah.
Oh, that must be a new character. Never mind.
Damn.
Anyway, so there's a city, and it's pretty much... let me just get to the really cool part first. The person who's playing, you play over 4 chapters. Each chapter has 6 rounds. Each round, each player is going to take turns playing one card from their hand, discarding another. You start with 12 cards every chapter. So each chapter you're playing 6 and discarding 6, which I thought was a cool mechanism.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's like, well, I don't need that. Then later, like, oh, why did I discard that one?
Oops.
Yeah. And so the 6 cards or the 12 cards are really cool. There's some basic ones like go get some stone or wood and things like that because you're trying to help build the city throughout these events that come up. And the events are the driving force of the game too. You flip over an event and it's a square card. Each corner points to a player. If you set cards table style,
right.
I guess we didn't do that. We kind of I had blocks from another game and we kind of sit them in front of the points to show which color they're pointing at: red, blue, green, yellow.
Right.
Anyway, so on your turn, and play is going to pass after each round, but on your turn, you flip over an event and you orient it the way you want. Now you're going to get a personal income of whatever, maybe a stone or something that you point to you, but the other 3 players are going to get something as well. So you're kind of like, what do I need? And what do other people not need?
Right. What do I not want to give someone else?
Right. Especially if they're going after something really awesome. On top of that, then you do the event, and the event will usually there's some events that will last the rest of the, or maybe not the rest of the chapter, but there can be 2 blue events. Those are ongoing events. And then at the end of the chapter, they get discarded anyway, but they cycle out. So if you got like 3 in a row, the first one would go away.
Right.
And only 2 would stay out. There's other ones that just do one-offs and stuff, and most of it was kind of like stays out, and like maybe you have to pay a gold to use this card or whatever. So that was pretty much the event card, and I think that was one of the coolest things of the game right there. Anyway, you're trying to get some of these events will bring out new buildings to build. And these buildings on the board, painting on the board is like a bridge, and the bridge isn't there. It's like it's starting to be made.
Right. And
then you put the thing over top of it, like a cutout of a bridge over top of it, or like there's a monastery or whatever. And then it's just kind of like wood, like just kind of like almost like the frame. And then you put the thing over top of it whenever the event set tells you to bring it in play. And these have little spots for wood and stone. And when you put wood and stone on those spots by use of one of your cards, you actually get victory points and such. And pretty much after 4 chapters, which is 24 rounds, whoever has the most points is the winner. Right. So what was your favorite thing about this?
Probably picking what you received and what you wanted them to get or not. And there was also the track at the bottom that gave you a personal reward, which would move because there was another arrow on the card that pointed to 0, 1, 2, or 3. Yep. And it would move this bottom track, which would also either give you some kind of personal reward, just straight up, or base it on other tokens you had built up in your stockpile. So you had your little hidden board too, where all your resources and everything is kept secret, which could have been a little bit bigger. I think that was one of the only real complaints I had about the whole game.
Your little hidden screen, it's like 2.5 inches tall.
Yeah, it could have been a little bit bigger. But I mean, gameplay wise, like you said, man, the choices with your cards on what am I going to take and what am I going to not get the rest of this round.
You almost want to plan out all 6 cards that you're going to do.
Exactly.
But the events mess that up.
They can. Yes. Yeah. The only big down thing I think I saw with the game was I would have liked to see more structures come out, which is completely random because there's 16 cards and you use only
No, there's 11 cards per chapter. So it's like 44 cards.
I meant per chapter. How many cards are there per chapter?
Oh, there's 6 cards per chapter out of a total of 11.
Exactly. So there's 5 cards that won't get used, and that's all random. So you don't know what you're getting and what you won't get.
But I think there's only one event per building, and I think there's only 8 buildings in the game. Like the tower always comes out at the beginning of chapter 3 or the end of chapter 2 or whatever, between those two.
Gotcha.
The bridge always starts the game and play. In the other 6 buildings, I think there was 6.
Okay, so we got the one hut.
We got one hut.
Okay.
Well, so it was probably just a really bad draw, but I can't see how this would not happen.
But I mean, at the same time, though,
often.
At the same time, though, that changes the game up every time you play it, though.
It does. I think it's a great game, and I said this after we were done playing. I thought it was a great game. I did not like that playthrough.
Exactly. Yeah, I could see that. Right.
Because I felt like at the end of each chapter, you need to have 2 of this thing, a resource, 2 of this resource, and up to 5 of the gold. Because you have to pay taxes and you have to have piety and all that stuff. And if you don't have it, or if you don't, you could pay a portion of it to or whatever. But for each piece you don't have of all 3 of those pieces, you lose victory points and you suffer a penalty for the next round, which is huge.
Yeah, you want to talk about feeding your people. You ain't just feeding your people. You're
paying your taxes.
You're paying your taxes and I guess paying your religious vows or something, whatever that your piety, whatever that means. But and that could be 3 things that hurt you on the next round. I think they all happen in the first round or whatever, but still they could hurt.
Yeah, and 99% of the time, everyone was safe.
Yes.
And I think that was because we didn't get the events that brought out the buildings. And it sounds real simple, but the buildings actually buildings are massive victory points. Because every time you put something on a building, you get 3 victory points.
Right.
And near the end of the game, I started placing stuff out there, and I was in dead last. And I started placing things out there and was getting 9 to 12 victory points just a round. And, I mean, that was crazy. And so, but what I was trying to say is if more buildings came out, more people would be trying to get victory points by building the buildings and trying to put donations on those buildings. So it was a card, you put a donation on it, and each building has its own little reward for donations.
Right.
And so more people would be doing that stuff throughout the round instead of always collecting the stuff they needed to pay their dues at the end of the round or end of the chapter.
Yeah. And I think when you first start the game, you also find out that every resource is limited, and I don't think we ever run into a problem. I think when we first heard it was but maybe a strategy could be to hoard. I mean,
that's true. Yeah. So I'm actually looking forward to playing this more.
Oh yeah, I completely enjoyed the game. It's it was a good time. Just one thing I noticed, I looked this up because it was based on a novel, and then you told me that the first game was based on the first book. Then I remember that Nautilus is based on a book. Mayfair's got a ton of games based on books.
Oh yeah.
So I mean,
I would have known.
Yeah, it was just something I know because what was another? Oh, Journey to the Center of the Earth.
They have Van Helsing.
Yeah, tons of books or tons of games based on books.
Yeah.
So I think I looked. It's roughly around 10 at least.
I mean that's pretty cool though.
Yeah, I mean
because most of them are actually kind of good.
Yeah, I'm not going to read any of them, but it offers another level of enjoyment to if you had read the book, you could play the game and pretty much live in something you read and hopefully enjoyed. But
yeah, we'll have to come back to a Journey at the Center of the Earth though.
Okay.